Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm so excited to try out this new discovery that I found a few months ago, and I've been so excited to try, but I haven't had the time. And it is a watercolor board instead of watercolor paper, and I didn't know these existed until I discovered them somehow, and then I figured I need to try this because before I've been used to using acrylic paints on canvases, and I like how rigid it is and it won't buckle or anything, so I was quite annoyed when I fell in love with watercolors and the paper just keeps buckling and it's just paper. This is a board. It's mounted on the board. It's just one sheet of watercolor paper, and I thought this would be really cool to try. So I'll try it with you guys on camera and see how it goes. And so the reason I haven't tried any new products for a while has been because I've been working on my book. I'm very happy to announce I finished coloring all 15 spreads, which is 30 pages, and I'm so excited to be done coloring. So now they are ready fully for print, and I'm so excited. And also the Kickstarter is going so well still, and it's just being crazy. So if you still want to go check out the book, there is like 10 days left of the campaign, so go check it out if you haven't got the book, because that's one of the ways you can get the book. But I am planning on putting them up on a web shop, so that the people who don't have a credit card and can't back the Kickstarter can actually get the book as well. But I think that will be after the Kickstarter campaign ends, which will be next week. So stay tuned for that. Let's do this. I'm not quite sure how to use this yet, but I'm just gonna do it as I would do it on paper. Like, there's no way I can test this without using it. So I'm gonna sketch down my drawing or a plan, and then I'll use my pen and we'll use some watercolors. Something you might have seen but I didn't mention is actually I managed to get some bumps on the canvas or the board at the very bottom, so I avoided drawing there, so the whole design is like above it, so I can cut it off if I need to. I just didn't want to ruin the experience by putting a drawing down there and like try to color around it. But anyway guys, this is a drawing of my characters from my book Grey Legs. As you might have noticed if you've seen anything of my promo lately, I do go quite crazy trying to promote it. It's just because it's a Kickstarter and you know it's only for a month, it's only for a week more, and then it's done, I promise. But yeah, it's Ava, her mom, and Grey Legs in the background, and it's kind of like a hint at something that happens in the book. It's not like explained very much, but there is a little bit of magic because I need to put magic in anything I do apparently. So let's talk about my experiences with this watercolor board. I am actually very pleasantly surprised. There's a few things that was a bit different from my usual watercolor paper, but that is to be expected if you're changing any kind of type of paper or any like materials that you're using. But when it came to the pen, I was a bit nervous that the paper wouldn't like absorb the pen as well as my other paper is doing, so that it is waterproof. And yes, to everyone that like are very surprised every time I use this pen, which is pretty much every piece. It is a ballpoint pen, it's super cheap, and it's waterproof, so I can use it with watercolor. It does fade a little bit like pencil does when you're doing watercolor, but it doesn't bleed into the watercolor, so it works really well when you want like clear colors and you want a faint line by not using pencil or pen. So it's really good. I'll put it down in the description if you want the brand and probably a link to the Amazon or something like that. But the main part of this test was of course to test it with watercolor. So I'm using my Shimcke Horadam watercolor, which I absolutely love. I bought them like quite a few months ago. I don't have that many colors. I bought specific colors just because I didn't want to spend £200 on watercolors, so I spent a little bit over £50 I think, and got a few 12 colors, and they were perfectly. I don't need any more colors than this. I decided just to use the board as I normally would use watercolor paper, and something I've started doing quite a lot lately is to give the whole image a wash of color, probably a gradient between two colors, before I later go in and do darker colors. So here I go in with like green and yellow and a little bit of blue. And something I'm actually really happy about that I noticed, I don't know if this probably like watercolor paper does it as well, but at one point I felt like the color I was using at Grey Lakes currently was a bit too green and too vibrant, so I actually went and blotted it out with paper, and that worked really well. Like, it lifted so well, and I was like, okay, is this a bad thing or a good thing? But I think it's a good thing, and it actually helped me quite a lot trying to get the colors right. So I had multiple tries to like put down the color and be like, no, this is not right, pick it back up. I don't know how much you should do this before the paper starts to like peel up, which it did a little bit, but it wasn't a big problem later, so it's probably fine. By this point I'm just really happy with how the paper or board is responding, and I'm thinking I should probably, if I ever want to do bigger illustration pieces, I should probably use boards, because it's really nice. You can have it on on your desk, and you can use as much water as you like, and it won't buckle. You don't have to tape it down, which is a big plus, and it's not a little block like when you have a watercolor block with different sheets of paper. It's not like that either. It's just this one panel for watercolor. Sometimes I actually wish that I've done the book in watercolors and not digital, but then I remember that when I started coloring or doing the pages, I was nowhere near as comfortable with watercolor as I am at this moment in time, and I think for my next book I'll definitely try doing watercolor, just because I really love having the piece in my hand. And now that I've tried this watercolor board, I know that I will probably be using some kind of board for my next book, where I can just go crazy and not having to worry about taping things down. I'm very impulsive. I like just easy stuff. I don't want to prepare anything, I just want to do it. So this works really well for me. But with me having the freedom to move the board every way I want, of course I'm gonna move it when I'm painting to get the right angle for my hand to work. So of course I have to apologize for the canvas moving around a little bit, but I hope that you are enjoying the various different camera angles, because I got comments on my last Watercolor Wednesday video that they didn't like that they had to turn their head when they were watching because it was so low angle from the side. That is the easiest way for me to film, but of course I understand completely. So I try to do it different ways this time, so you can get it from right above so you see everything that I'm doing, and then sometimes from the side just to see details on how things are working, because you can't see that from this far away. I also thought, since I am getting more and more comfortable with my watercolor usage, I could probably just talk a little bit about how I have learned to use it, or like how I prefer to use it. Everyone had different techniques. Somebody just put down one layer of color, maybe a shading later. Some people do multiple washes and washes and washes to get like more of a painterly feel. I have actually managed to incorporate my digital methods into my watercolor, which is basically in Photoshop I would usually color everything first and give it a gradient at the end, but for watercolor that doesn't work, so you have to do the gradient before you do anything else. So that's how I use it, kind of, and then I properly figure out where the light source will be, in this case the magic in the middle, and then I slowly start like coloring panels of the leaves or whatever it would be, different colors, different things, and just slowly work my way downwards into the light source. So after using the light wash, I use the secondary panel color to kind of show where the light is actually coming from. So you can see on the leaves I'm leaving some space of the wash where the light would be hitting. Of course I'm removing this at some point, but you know, I'm just saying. Also, this is where I ran into some kind of problem as well, where the color is actually picking up too much. So in the leaf above the mom's head, like to the left, actually started lifting up the wash and creating this weird, like it was lifting it up and putting it in the place I didn't want it to be. So I think I was just too quick maybe, but it turned out alright in the end. I just ended up putting more washes over it to kind of cover the mistake. But this has happened to me before on other pieces of paper or other types of paper, so I'm not too worried about it. At this point, I'm just like putting in all the panels, trying to darken the edges, make sure that the light source really hitting everything around. I did put on some more washes over the plants later, and I'm kind of regretting it looking at it now because it looked more vibrant in a way before. But you know, hindsight is a wonderful thing. But it's alright. I made the whole color palette a bit more green. That's kind of why I did the wash, just to give it more of a fade from yellow up to blue. It's weird how when I was younger, I would never see myself as somebody who would be a traditional artist because, oh, it takes too long, or like I like the convenience of digital and blah blah blah. And it's weird looking back at that me and then seeing this present me where I actually enjoy doing watercolors so much more than digital currently, just because it's just so much relaxing, and it just, you have the drawing right there, and it's just the best feeling of working with your hands instead of a screen, which can be very frustrating. I think a lot of the time for me, art block comes when I do digital paintings because I feel a disconnect between drawing and me. And that's why I like sketching traditionally as well, because I can see the sketch and I'm doing it and you can feel it, and it's just different. It's just very different. And I think I also have like a tendency to want to hold my drawing and just like turning around and just be a lot more physical with it. I think that's because I think I like sculpture and just having things right there. It's just very convenient and it seems to make things a lot quicker. Of course, I still love my digital drawing. It's still my main like media. And that's where like I would always use digital to do concept art or anything like that because it's a lot quicker and very convenient when you're doing mistakes and you can change it really easily. So for that sort of stuff, I definitely have to be a digital artist, but for just relaxing and doing more arty pieces and illustrations, I think I'm falling into traditional. Wow, she's turning traditional, whoops. No, I hope you guys are liking it. I hope you guys don't mind. I think a lot of people like seeing traditional over digital anyway, but I'm not gonna stop doing digital, don't you worry. I am actually starting to use my iPad Pro quite a lot more, because somehow using the iPad gives me more of that connect that I talked about before. I actually feel more connected to my art than with Photoshop, which is really weird. I don't know why. I have to figure out why. A review of my iPad Pro is definitely coming in the future, so if you are curious about what I think about my iPad and how I use it and all the things that I've changed to make it work for me, I will do that in just a few weeks, I promise. So moving into the final stages of the painting here, I'm using color pencil to just bump up the contrast and colors in my drawings. I do this with everything. I just like adding extra things that I can't do very easily with watercolor. It's just more control when you're using colored pencil on top, and I like the texture as well. But yeah, all in all, I love this watercolor board. I'm definitely going to buy more. Of course, they're more expensive than just sheets of paper. I think this panel was about £450, which is a bit pricey, but not too bad when you think about like the quality that you get. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me paint, and yeah, I will give you back to real life Dina. Hi guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys liked it. I'm pretty dang happy with it. The final looks pretty cool and I really love the board and I thought this is perfect. And I'm pretty sure I've been talking in the voiceover, talking about what I think and everything. And it's really late and I don't know if this video is going to be up on Friday or Saturday, but it'll be up either way. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you guys next week. I just want to say thank you so much to my Patreons for supporting me every week and every month. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for all your support. So I want to say thank you to Casey Golden, Judith Lopez, Mathilde Bouvier, Samantha Jones, Christoph Rias, Jessica Grill, Kirsten Blaga, Christy Peters, Thalia, Mark Thomas, Pippa Ashton, Wolfsong Luna, Megan McLaughlin, Victoria Piles, Thasia Legan, That One Girl, Nana Fantasy, Melly, Alexandra, Patty Åkerström, Anestra, Amanda Friends, Victoria Miller, Babbitt, Live Lockdown, Phil Booth, and Okabuki. If you want a shout out at the end of my video, please check out my Patreon. Thank you!